Hey there everybody, and welcome back. For those of you that are interested in potentially purchasing the new Lenovo Ideapad 3 and aren't quite sure if this is the right device for you, stay tuned. We're going to be doing an in-depth review and virtual walk around in this video. Now, if this is the first time seeing some of my content, if you like what you see in here, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. Now, we'll go ahead and jump straight in. Now, if you're interested in the unboxing video, check out the link in the description. There's honestly not much to it. Laptops in this price range typically aren't going to have really a whole lot in the box or anything making them super special. As you can tell, it's a pretty plain cardboard box. But let's jump into the device itself. We'll cover specs in more detail and pricing in a little bit. So you have a relatively nice brushed aluminum lid. It has a glossy feel to it. As you can see, it's a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, but it has a slightly different feel and look to it than the traditional brushed aluminum lid. And I will say the aluminum lid, it feels almost like a thin sheet of aluminum and not as solid and thick as some of the others. But again, for this price, it's nice to have, and you can kind of see the fingerprints. Also, just as a side note, have your Lenovo logo down here. Looking on the left side first, we have a couple of ports. So we have power, USB, HDMI, USB Type-C, headphones. Over on the right side here, we have the SD card slot and the USB, or the second USB. We have a couple lights here as well. You'll see one's blinking because we are in sleep mode right now. Bottom, pretty standard, has a pretty plasticky feel to it. So you have aluminum on the top, plastic on the bottom. When you're holding it, it feels a little odd when you have that metal on plastic, but overall, it's a pretty solid feeling laptop. It doesn't feel like it has a lot of wiggle room. Hinges feel sturdy. So for a device in this range, it has a pretty solid build to it. So we'll bring it a little bit closer. This device, at least mine, shipped in Windows 10 in S mode. So I went ahead and upgraded to Windows 11. So to do that, I switched out of S mode. Then right out of the box, just went straight to the Windows 11 upgrade. Couple cool features about this device. So first and foremost, whether it's on or off, when you open the lid, it will turn itself on. This will not work the first time around. Mine came with 0 battery, so I had to plug it in to do all the work, which is fine. Now, when you're opening this, it has a little lip right here. If you're wanting to open it one-handed, it's not too easy, which honestly I kind of like. Makes me feel like the hinge may last a little bit longer. Now, a couple of things to note that you're probably not going to find in a lot of laptops in this price range. So first, for a $450 laptop, this at Best Buy's website, which we'll see in a little bit, I believe it's $429.99. First and foremost, touchscreen, which is nice to have. Second is a backlit keyboard. So we're going to get a little closer, put it at an angle because it's a little bit light outside right now. Hold function. The space bar does basically the first level. So low, high, off. So backlit keyboard. The power button up here has the fingerprint reader built in, which is nice. And then also you have a privacy shutter right here for your webcam. So that's kind of nice to see that a lot of manufacturers are getting on board with that. And then we'll go to specs. So we're going to bring this up a little bit closer, get it out of the sunlight a little, and just bring up Best Buy's website. And this, you can see I'm already in Windows 11. We'll scroll down a little bit, so we'll see $429.99 is the price up top. And as we scroll down, we'll discuss the specs a little bit. And now a couple things to note. Everything loads pretty quickly on this device, so we'll go through specs and then kind of walk through how I feel about the device after the first couple of days of using it. So first, we have your standard 15.6-inch display. It's a 1920 by 1080 for the screen resolution, so full HD. Touchscreen, yes, it does have the Intel 11th Gen Core i5. If you want the model number, it's the i5-1135G7. Its base speed of 2.4 gigahertz, again, 256 gig solid state drive. Really cool thing about this device, 12 gigs of RAM, which you rarely see on devices in this price range, especially paired with the i5, the 11th gen. So that's nice to see. You do have your integrated graphics, so no dedicated graphics card, but it is the Iris Xe graphics that come with that 11th gen i5. This says operating system, Windows 11 in S mode. I had Windows 10 in S mode, but that could just be something that's a really quick upgrade. So you have a pretty standard lithium-ion polymer battery, backlit keyboard. Now, year of release is 2021, so this is the newer model. And then the display, no shocker here, it's a standard LCD display. And then just a couple additional things to note as we're going down. So the solid state drive interface is an NVMe, and the RAM is 3200 megahertz, it's DDR4. And we are looking at an 8 megabyte cache and a number of memory slots, 1. So we'll continue to scroll just to make sure we're not missing anything. A couple things I want to note. So we covered ports. So you have a USB 2.0, a USB 3.2, and a USB 3.2 Type-C. Now we do also have the maximum wattage for the power supply is 65 watts. It is a 3-cell battery, lithium-ion polymer, and front-facing camera is a 720p for the video resolution. Does have built-in mic, standard cooling system. So not really a whole lot of other things to cover here outside of Dolby Audio for the audio technology. Last thing is going to be dimensions and realistic battery figures. So product height is 0.78 inches, product width is 9.98, depth is 14.26, and weight is 3.74 pounds. I did find this device on Amazon that listed just above 4 pounds, which I'm pretty sure it was the same device. It feels like it's in the general 4-pound range. It's not terribly heavy, and it does have a solid feel. Last things to note, no optical drive, and it's not Energy Star certified, but I don't really think a lot of people out there really use that as a judgment call to purchase the device. So going over really everything that I've learned about the device since I've started using it. First, I will say that I feel like when you open the device when it's turned off, the fact that it turns on as you're opening the lid does make it feel like there's an even lower boot time. So I think that's a really smart decision for them, as most people are probably sitting down as they're opening it. So by the time they put the laptop on the table or on their lap, it's basically already on. They're thinking, essentially, wow, this is a really, really fast device. I will say, though, it is still pretty quick. It just makes it seem even faster than it is. Now, 256 gig hard drive is honestly a little small, but I've seen devices over $1,000 now that have a 256 gig hard drive. So to be honest, most people, they have the additional SD card slot or just using the traditional flash drives or external storage. And since it's coming in S mode, a lot of people I feel like are using native applications now, which are much smaller. So I think that all things considered, hard drive is not on the high end, but it's still a solid device. So you have your 11th gen i5 and 12 gigs of RAM, which in my opinion make this a very, very quick device. I've used it to edit a couple videos and it really seems to go through without any issues. Now, one thing I do want to note is battery life, because I haven't seen any realistic figures online. Depending on what mode you're in. So for example, I started using this in the default mode, which I think is just like balance performance. When editing videos and just general usage, I feel like I'm probably more realistically going to get closer to between 3 and 5 hours. I'm going to say closer to 3 to 4 when you're using it pretty regularly. Now, if you're going to put on battery saver and you're not going to be running any terribly demanding tasks, then I think you'll probably get closer to between maybe 6 and 8. I think online I've heard of some of the Ideapads getting 8 plus. So battery figures are going to be a little bit difficult to give you, but to be honest, it's not the best battery life that I was expecting. However, overall, when you have the 11th gen i5, I feel like it's going to be consuming a good bit of power when you're throwing demanding tasks its way. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're doing some pretty intense stuff. The device will probably handle it, but you should probably expect to need a power supply within a couple of hours at the very least. So I think with moderate use, you're probably going to average 4 to maybe 5 hours on balance mode. Again, results vary by device. I wouldn't be surprised if you're doing a ton of heavy video editing that you may only get like 2 to 2.5, also depending on brightness settings. So that's a really difficult one to cover. But just giving you an overall review of the device itself, it doesn't have a lot of flex. So when you pick it up, I've seen some devices, it almost feels like the mouse pad's being pressed when you lift it up at this angle. It doesn't feel like it's bending at all. The screen doesn't have a lot of wobble to it, so it flexes a little. And the keyboard, when you're pressing it, it doesn't feel like it actually presses in at all. So you're going to see there's no keyboard flex to it, which is really nice to see. So overall, it just feels like a pretty solid laptop. For the specs, I think this is probably one of the best devices, at least currently, that you're going to get in this price range. So overall, I mean, is this going to be a laptop for intense gaming? Probably not. I think it'll handle some very, very basic stuff because it does have that the Iris Xe graphics, but again, that's your integrated card, so it's not for serious gaming. I haven't. I think that the speakers and audio quality is honestly just pretty average. I wasn't really blown away by anything outside of how quickly it loads and seems to process everything. It does seem to be a little power hungry, or the battery is just not what I was expecting. But it does seem like the battery on a lot of these laptops is shrinking just so they can make the laptops thinner or make room for other parts. So that is what it is, I guess I would say there. So my recommendation, if you're interested in purchasing this device, I think this is the best deal you're going to get for a device out of the box. Don't get this if it's something where you want to update hard drive storage or the RAM. You're probably not going to be doing much there, and you should probably look to another device. But if 12 gigs of RAM, the 11th Gen i5, and just a pretty solid experience overall are on your radar, and $430 is a solid price range, I would highly recommend this device. I love Lenovo products, so I think that this is a really, really solid buy. And really the last thing to cover is just general trackpad usage. It's been pretty solid. It doesn't have it doesn't really feel like it's picking up incorrect gestures. There are the occasional moments where you swipe down with two fingers and it thinks there's three, but really, really minor stuff. So the overall experience with this has been pretty enjoyable. So I hope that pretty much covered everything, but if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below. I'll see if I can do research if there's anything I didn't answer in this video, and then I will see you all in the next video.